This is the voice of the Report of the Week, signing on.
Ladies and gentlemen, before we continue with this program, it should be mentioned that the microphone I'm using today is not the same microphone that I'm using in previous shows. There was a critical error, and I'll explain it later, with the adapter that connects the other microphone to my computer. It's utterly destroyed beyond repair, and I just have to get a new one. Should be on the way in a little bit, but until then I have to use this outdated 20-year-old microphone to still record. But that said, the audio is going to be a bit weaker, it's going to be a bit softer, and there aren't any spikes in audio in this broadcast. I'm finished with it. I'm looking at it right now. There aren't any spikes in this broadcast, so it's not going to scare you out of your wits, but I really recommend turning your volume up a bit in order to comfortably listen to this program. Again, please turn your volume up to comfortably listen to this program if you wish. And that's what I have. I hope you enjoyed this show, ladies and gentlemen. This is VORW, the voice of the Report of the Week.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and everyone listening. This is VORW, the voice of the Report of the Week, the international service of VORW. Of course, we are heard wherever an internet connection is possible, and we can be heard via shortwave radio in select parts of the world. Now, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening and thank you for tuning in. This is VORW, the voice of the Report of the Week, and this program is the external service of this channel and the international service thereof. And in this program, you can hear me talk and ramble for a good period of time, oftentimes within the range anywhere between 2 and 3 hours in length. And you can hear me ramble on and talk and discuss different topics and what have you. And that being said, it's a chance to get a different perspective of the channel, where I'm not just talking about burgers and ribs and chicken, and rather you can hear me talk about different issues and different things at hand, and all of that. Now, before we begin in this VORW, it's 9:48 a.m. on the 30th of June, 2016. Perhaps we'll finish it today, and perhaps we'll get this up today, and get this to be the last VORW of the month of June, or the very first of the month of July. I want to discuss something that is crucial to the VORW shows themselves, and crucial to the production thereof. What is that, you may be wondering? That is the microphone. Now, it might annoy you, it might enrage you, it might anger you, might, as some say, quote-unquote, piss you off. But I'm using a different microphone for this program. Now, the reason being is not because the old microphone of mine broke, because it didn't. The old microphone, the sound recorder that I like to use, is still functional, and it's still functioning. The problem is the adapter. You see, the little sound recorder that I use is a little box. It's a little black box. I mean, it's very small. You can hold it in just a few fingers. And in those fingers, you can just hold it. You can walk around with it. You can talk into it, talk by it. And it'll still record your voice just fine. It's a very good quality microphone. Has a very good digital quality sound. And it's a nice one. It oftentimes functions very nicely. But the problem with it is the fact that it has this little adapter. You need this adapter because, number one, the adapter, it has two ends. It has a big end and a small end. You plug the small end into a little port that's in the side of the sound recording device. And then you have the big end, which you plug into the computer itself. And it's crucial. That's its lifeline. That's its circulatory system. It really is. Because what that adapter does, it not only allows all the files that you've recorded, so it would be this part of the VORW, this little program. It would not only be what I just recorded now, get that file up to the computer, then I would work on it there, and then get it uploaded to YouTube. But likewise, it charges up
the little sound recorder, because it's battery powered, and it's powered via being charged from the computer. And that charge, lasts for hours and hours and days, but it's got to be charged on a regular basis. And usually I charge it whenever I'm making the VORWs, putting the clips together, splicing and dicing, and everything in between. I'll just leave it in the computer for a while and, just let it charge up. Problem is the adapter broke. The adapter is broken. It cannot be salvaged, unfortunately. One of those ends, one of the two ends that goes into the ports is the one that actually goes into the computer. That end just split. It's ruined. You can't fit it anywhere. The little wires are all frayed. They're out there, and it's just ruined. So what I have to do now is I have to take some of the Patreon funds, which we thankfully have, and purchase another one, get it on the way, and from there we'll be able to continue on VORWs as usual, and have the same microphone. Now, theoretically speaking, without that microphone, I could have said, well, it's break time, ladies and gentlemen. It's break time. We're done. VORW's over, and no more VORW for you until we get that new microphone going. I could have taken a little, summer vacation, as they say, and taken a break from VORW, but I'm not going to do that. I said no. People wrote letters. People want to hear their letters read. I worked hard on those, and I'm not gonna do that. So, that being said, I decided not to, and I was able to get an alternative for it. I was able to get this other microphone here, which I hope it works. I hope you can hear me okay. I hope the volume's good. My one worry is how my breathing will affect the microphone and the sound therein. That I do worry of, but I hope it works out okay. I do, and if it doesn't, hey, we learn from our mistakes. I'll find a better strategy with this microphone in the meantime, and before you know it, we'll get the old microphone back and better than ever, and it'll work out fine. This microphone, it's not a spring chicken, as they say. It's old. It's from the days of the internet and from computing back when everything was at that whitish beige color. That kind of tells its age right there. But it's that whitish beige color, and it's probably a good 15, 20 years old right now. This microphone I'm using, but it's I've done little tests with it, and it should work there. So we'll see. It should hopefully work. You're listening to VORW, the voice of the Report of the Week. Taking a sip of water right now. Actually, I'm sorry, Monster. It is mostly water, but it's, officially Monster. These microphones, they're something I don't really talk about much. But every microphone has its story. It really does. Every microphone has its story. And its own little experiences that go along with it. Its own little things that make it memorable. This old microphone here I actually used back in the days of 2013. Early 2013, I used this microphone a little bit. I was just playing around with it, experimenting, doing these little shows with it, but nothing fancy. There actually was a precursor to VORW, which I recorded in early 2013. But rather than talking about the channel, I talked about music. I talked about the songs I liked, the structure thereof, back when I knew a little bit more about music. And I recorded these little shows about the subject of music. And I take a few moments to play the tune, record that too, and then my comments thereon. It was a fun little show I did a few times, but, copyright. And nothing gets past that. So that was a dead end there, but hey, it was fun while it lasted, and that's what I used this microphone for. It was a fun little experience. It really was. It was a fun little experience
And I enjoyed it. I did. So, with that said, and with all the introductions covered, I hope you're doing well. I hope all is going well in your neck of the woods. It's been a good week for me. Good week, better than the last. You know, last was rough. This week is okay. Doing much better, I'm a lot happier, and I'm in a better place. So that's good. That's some good news there for you. Good news there for you, and that's what there is. It's it's the summer now, officially, and with that mentioned, it's quite a bit warmer than than what there usually is. So I've been getting some days in the 90s, some days in the 80s. But I'm keeping cool, I still keep the long sleeves and pants on through the summer. And I do, I always wear long sleeves, long pants, and sometimes I wear a jacket actually on these 90-degree days, and I don't sweat. I don't sweat. It's not like I'm drenched in sweat. My face isn't beet red from the heat. I'm not gonna die. I can wear that all comfortably in a 90-degree day, and I'll be fine. And I've done that before, and I can just manage and deal with the heat. All right. Can deal with the heat fine, and that's just how it is. I was in Boston back in 2013 as well, and there was a very hot day. It was a 100-degree day at least. But there I was, going to the Bunker Hill Memorial on foot. A long walk, long walk. Several miles, several kilometers in length. Very long walk. And in this hot, boiling hot day. But there I was. Long dress shirt, long sleeve dress shirt, long pants. And still doing fine. I needed a little water, admittedly, but I was doing fine nonetheless. And lately I've just been sticking to my standard wardrobe of suits. Speaking of, there's been 2 recent additions to the wardrobe. 2. So with that said, we're getting 2 suits closer now to being the King of Dhaka. If you haven't heard of who the King of Dhaka is, look him up. He's a guru of suits. He's got money. I mean, he literally is making 10K per day. That guy. But I got 2 new suits. I got the one that I already showed off, the black one. It was good. Nice wide lapels, long jacket, pleated creased pants. And I got another suit jacket. It's a patterned jacket. I wouldn't say it's a tweed per se, but I needed one just like it. I had a blazer that was in that same exact pattern, but it was too modern. The jacket was too short. Lapels were too skinny, too thin. So this one's better. It's an 80s jacket from Ralph Lauren. Wide lapels, good drape. And it's a good jacket. I think I'll break it out for the review today. So, that's what I got going. That's what I got going in terms of suits. What else we got to talk about today? What do we got to talk about? Well, shortwave radio. Here's your latest shortwave radio news, ladies and gentlemen. We do have some updates with some shortwave, especially 2 items. Number 1, Radio Free Europe is off the air now. They've signed off on the 26th. All frequencies in Russian, Belarusian, and several other languages too. Avar, I know, is one. Circassian, I think that was a language they're in, are all off the air. There are several broadcasts that are still on the air, so if you wish to obtain a QSL from Radio Free Europe, you can. They're still on in Tajik for Tajikistan, Uzbek for Uzbekistan, of course. They're also still on air in Chechen, I believe. But that's about it.
That's all they're on the air now with. They're still on about 20 frequencies of varying strength. So you can still hear them, but they're not what they used to be now at this point. They are not what they used to be. They aren't. I mean, that's the sad truth. It's the sad truth about Radio Free Europe. It used to be this gigantic station broadcasting to Europe and, parting the Iron Curtain, and of course those days are over, but still it's just, sad to see how the mighty have fallen, that is sad to see what happened there, how they've gone off the air like that. There is some good news, however. There is some good news, ladies and gentlemen. I'm just reading something. Fact of the matter is, some good news at least to counteract this is Radio Australia. Now, Radio Australia is a shortwave broadcaster as well, and they're a good station. I was listening to them the other day. They had a good program about death on. Just about death and dying. But it was a good program, very interesting. They're one of those international broadcasters. They don't spread propaganda. It's just news and entertainment. They have entertaining talk programs. They have entertaining news broadcasts. And it's just an interesting program and show. 24 hours a day they broadcast on. If you live in North America, the best frequency to hear them on is 9580 kilohertz in the mornings, between the hours of 5 a.m. and 10 a.m. If you're on the West Coast, you can hear them longer. If you're in the evenings, you can hear them perhaps between 6 p.m. and 2 a.m. on 17840 kilohertz. And if you're in Europe, you have your best chance of hearing them on 12065 kilohertz during the daytime hours. And during the nighttime hours, you have the best chance of hearing them on 15,415, I believe, 15415 kilohertz. But Radio Australia is a great station, but they used to be a lot bigger. They used to have at least 9 to 12 shortwave broadcasts on the air at any given time. They have their transmitter in Australia called the Shepparton transmitting station, which has about 6 transmitters there, all 100 kilowatts in power. Then they would have another site in Australia called the Brandon transmitting station, which had an additional 2 transmitters of 10 kilowatts in power. And then they had international relays of different relay stations. There was one in Singapore, one in the United Arab Emirates, one in Palau, and in different sites around the world. That led to around a dozen broadcasts on shortwave at any given time. But budget cuts got in the way of things. And that said, sadly, they had to sign off on many of those. They decreased all their transmissions. They got rid of all the international relays. They got rid of the Brandon Transmitting Center, and they brought down that Shepparton site from 3 transmitters back down to back from 6 down to 3. So it was a major decrease in their funding and in their abilities. But now Radio Australia, they have a new managing director. And she has signaled that Radio Australia wants to make a return to international broadcasting on shortwave. She officially made a statement saying that she has forcefully expressed her interest in the corporation returning to full-blooded international broadcasting, and raised the fact that Radio Australia no longer broadcasts in Chinese or in Talk Pisin, or Talk Pisin or Pidgin perhaps, which is the language in Papua New Guinea. And she raised those facts that shortwave is still very popular there, and that just because they don't broadcast in that and switch to online only does not mean that people are suddenly going to move out of their little huts and get an internet connection so they can just listen to Radio Australia. She realized people aren't going to do that. People who still listen to shortwave regularly and need shortwave radio aren't going to stop doing it and move on to the internet just because their station did. Rather, they'll just switch over to the next station they can hear in that language, that being China Radio International, which is a direct competitor to Radio Australia and what many consider to be a propaganda station. So they're thinking about making a full return to international broadcasting on shortwave, and if that's the case, that'd be great news. That'd bring back a lot of the transmitters, a lot more frequencies, and perhaps increase their coverage again. And perhaps there'll be a day where I'll be able to talk about the frequencies you can hear in Europe and North America, and it won't just be 1 or 2, but maybe, 3, 4, 5, or even more. So one can hope Radio Australia will be going back to what they were. Any increase is a good increase, so that's the good news. And that's what we got for you pretty much there with shortwave. And in terms of shortwave, I was listening to some program the other day called Scriptures for America, which it's I don't know, it's too far gone for my agreeance, my liking, my taste. I mean, it's just too far out there. Forget it. You name it, they'll talk about it. They talk about lizards and reptiles. Now they're all reptiles, and and then they get into all these things, and it's kill the gays, and and only the whites are the going to heaven, and blah blah blah. But when it's so far gone like that, it is entertaining to listen to. And the guy was telling this story the other day, how he was out being a wrangler cowboy, and he was going around, and I don't know, he got the rope tied around his leg, and he got dragged quarter mile through the rocky desert, and he said his arm got almost ripped off, and that was a wholesome story right there. That was a real wholesome tale. Beautiful to hear. So entertaining. That's Scriptures for America. They're a notorious station, though. Everyone on shortwave already knows about the crap they spew. So, ladies and gentlemen, now last VORW was on June 24th, 2016. That being said, there was a review on June 26th for Hardee's Charbroiled Chicken Club Sandwich food review. And she reviewed and tried out the, of course, Charbroiled Chicken Club. From Hardee's, it was a very messy sandwich to operate and to navigate. Very, very messy, though. Very messy. Slid around like crazy. On June 28th, we tried out the peppercorn bacon steak burger from Steak and Shake. And that was very delicious. That was a nice contradiction to what we had tried previously, but it was very good and a great sandwich nonetheless. Now, ladies and gentlemen, with that being said, fan mail continues after the tune. And ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to VORW, the voice of the Report of the Week. And this is now the halfway portion of our program, where we now are halfway through the show. And with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, of course, that is time for fan mail and any general talk which will accompany it. So, ladies and gentlemen, of course, there are several means to contact us if you wish to contact this program. First and foremost, you can write to us via YouTube, youtube.com/user/report of the week. Click on the About tab, send message, type the contents of your message, and send it off to us. If you're more of an email type of person, you can write to us at repweekinterview1@gmail.com. That's repweekinterview1, the number 1, at gmail.com, or write to us also at vorwinfo@gmail.com. those are your ways that you can contact us, and of course contacting this program is a crucial part of this show. As you know, the fan mail portion at this point is now the bulk of the program, and without that program and without that portion, this show would be a lot shorter, and it'd be a lot less for you to help you get to sleep with. So, ladies and gentlemen, hope everything's going well with this microphone. Hope it's okay. Hope there's not an angry mob forming as we speak. I know the quality's different. I know it adds, maybe makes my voice sound different, but as I said, I hope it works. Hope it works out good, and that'll be that. With that said, we're not going to dawdle about any further. We're just going to jump right into things here. And that said, let's get a question for you. Of course, the last question in this program was, do you consider yourself addicted to social media? I was just asking if anyone considers themselves to be addicted to social media, etc., etc. And that'll be an interesting variety of answers there. Of course, many yes, many no, and perhaps a few in between. The question for this program deals not with social media, but again with cinema. Here's the question. Of course, it's been publicized, it's been controversial, it's been in the news lately, it's been talked about. Many people have many different opinions on it, and I want to hear yours. Alright, don't hold back. I want to hear your opinion. I do. I want to hear your opinion. If you feel very strongly about this, let me know. In fact, I actually encourage you to go on an all-caps rage in the messages if you actually feel that strongly about it. I mean, there will be people who do feel that strongly about it. I'm not one of those people. I'm one of those people who just brush it off and say, yeah, alright, next. But it is a controversial thing, and, it'll be an interesting one. Alright, Review Bro, you're talking about the 2016 election, right? No, we're talking about Ghostbusters, ladies and gentlemen. The new Ghostbusters movie that's coming out this year. What's your take on it? Do you like it? Do you hate it? You gonna see it? You're not gonna see it? Do you hate the trailer? Do you love the trailer? What's your thoughts on the movie? And I'd love to hear that. What is your thoughts on the movie? Why do you hate it? Why do you like it? What are your thoughts on the new Ghostbusters movie coming out this year? Why do you like it? Why do you hate it? Your comments, your messages are always appreciated and welcome here. And it'll be interesting to see if there's a consensus from our listeners. There's a lot of people who hate it, or love it, or perhaps are neutral about it. If you're neutral about it, if you just don't care, you never heard of it before, I'll take that too, but it'll be interesting to see how vocal people are about this. Well, my thoughts, I'm not going to see it. Number one, I watched the trailer. I'm just not a fan of the movies that they always redo, and I never think that when they redo a film, it's just never as good as the original. It's just totally different in that regard. I thought the trailer was awful, and the trailer sometimes the trailers speak volumes about the films, sometimes they don't. But oftentimes in a trailer, they try to select the best clips of the film to try to make it appealing to the audience. And if those are the best clips of the film, then that really says something about how the rest would be also. So I'm just not a fan of it. I saw the trailer, made my mind up, said, yeah, I'm not going to see it. That's that. And also, I'm just not a movie person. We all know that by now. And that being said, that's just why I'm not gonna see it. And I'm not a fan of it. I'm gonna stick with the original Ghostbusters. But what's your opinion? What's your thoughts? Always interesting to get them. Of course, write to us, repweekinterview1@gmail.com, VORWinfo@gmail.com, or message us via YouTube. That said, let's take a sip of Monster here, because we do have Monster. Let's open up the mailbag and let's see what letters lie in our wake. And let's see what we got here. One of the regular writers here, Nick writes to us. He says, "Hello, old friend. It's been a long time since I've written in. I just wrote a long message and accidentally hit backspace. So I'll sum it up. So much has changed since the golden days of daily VORWs waiting for me when I arrived home from my overnight graveyard shift. for Amazon.com. And now I'm a Patreon member, and these 3-hour VORWs do have another good purpose. I now work for a painting company around lots of work machinery that is very loud, and we use music to tune it out with our earbuds. I, of course, use VORW. Though I have been quite along in absence of letters, I have been listening, just as faithfully, just without the time or energy to write. Today, though, I'm home from work with a very sprained neck, and therefore have the time to write to you. I present a series of questions, as well as a PSA which you may want to preview before presenting, if you are not comfortable. Yeah, I saw that. It was something regarding Joey's World Tour, and as much as, his competition as he is, unless that's 100% verified and valid, I'm not going to be one to throw mud like that, despite him being competition. I just don't play dirty like that. He's never said anything against me. He's never published anything saying anything bad against me, so I'm not going to say anything bad against him. And no matter what he is or whatnot, whether that's true or fake, I manage to show with dignity, and that's just something I'm not gonna do on this program. But thank you for that. And on to the next. He says questions, and we'll pick a few out here. He says, do you see yourself as a father or having children, and do you want to have kids? I don't want to have kids. I'm just not a kids person. I don't want to be daddy. I already am daddy on YouTube, as everyone calls me. So I'm not a fan of that. No, I don't see myself as having any children. Who are your favorite classical composers, and what is your favorite classical era? First, I'm a fan of the Romantic / pre-modern period, and my all-time favorite composer is Dmitri Shostakovich. Hopefully I pronounced that all right. I'm always a fan of Franz Liszt. Alright, Zam. I think he is a Romantic composer. And then of course there's the legends. There's always Beethoven and Mozart and Bach and all of that. But there's always the legends there. Did you ever play an instrument in your youth? I played the recorder. I was a pro with that. Not like I had to do that or anything. But the recorder, that was awful. I don't know why they even. That was a thing in schools they make a lot of children do. They always make them play the recorders, and I don't know. It was just blow on it. It sounds horrible. If I ever had to teach that class, I just want to bang my head against the wall countless times. Stupid kids just blowing on those things. Horrible. Would you rather be forbidden from wearing formal attire, or be required to eat and pay for the grilled stuffed nacho and Spar Extreme pepperoni pizza for every other email? Well, I gotta counter this up with a question of my own. Number one, would I be forbidden from wearing formal attire forever, or just for when I record this? And number two, after every letter I'd have to eat and pay for a grilled stuffed nacho and a Spar Extreme pepperoni pizza. So for every single letter I get here, I gotta do that. I guess I'll have to have the room, so maybe I'll have to either A, magically have the stomach to handle that, or B, it'll have to be carried out over a period of days, if not weeks, since there are a good 30 or so emails here, plus the emails themselves. So that said, if I were forbidden from wearing formal attire just for this, I'd go with that. I would. That is just torture otherwise. I have to pay for it too. But if it was wearing formal attire for the rest of my life, and this would just be one miserable experience, and I'd do this, and I'd choose the latter, and I'd say, well, it'll be my loss. But we'll make it back up. Get a good meal afterwards, and make it back up. And finally, if you had to choose just one fast food restaurant to eat from, where would you choose, and what would be your least favorite? One fast food, I would have to say say, Five Guys. It's expensive. Maybe if they lowered the prices. But, I've been getting a little contemptful of Five Guys lately. I just look at those prices and I say, you gotta be made of money to go to this place. You gotta be like the king of Dhaka to go there. I mean, I do. You gotta be making that 10K per day to even eat there. And, Five Guys is good, but, I mean, you're paying for it. I mean, you really are. It's around $17 for just a burger and some fries and the drink. I mean, not quite that much, but it's probably around $13. It's expensive. Stuff's expensive. And my least favorite, well, by far it'd have to be Sparrow. I mean, even their pepperoni pizza, which is okay, it's average pepperoni pizza, you're blowing $7 for a slice of that. Hope to be writing in more. Thank you. On to the next. Alright. That one wanted it to be read off air, so we'll skip that. Hey man, I just subscribed to your channel. I love watching honest, clear, and informative food and product reviews online. I've seen a few of your videos online in the past and totally dig your style. I think it's cool how you dress up for every video and you take care of yourself, because I believe those things do matter when I'm watching someone online or listening to what they say. I just wanted to say keep up the good work and stay classy. I enjoy watching your reviews. Thank you for those nice comments. That was from Nick. Thank you for writing, Nick. And thank you. And yes, I certainly do dress as I do for every video and for every video to come. Hey Review Bro, I've emailed you before, but it's been a while since I've sent you one. I listen to VORW regularly as well as watch the food and drink reviews. And generally staying up late at night and having your podcast on helps with my anxiety. I just wanted to thank you for making it as often as you do. As for the question, I wouldn't say I'm addicted to social media. I have a Twitter account, but only I rarely look at it and I never post anything. But I would say I'm addicted to the internet as a whole. I spend a large portion of each day on it. I also wanted to reply to a comment you made about horror movies in the most recent episode. I agree that almost all of the modern horror films made by big studios are incredibly generic and rely on cheap jump scares and various cliches, and I feel like there have been only a few good horror movies recently. It Follows and The Witch are two of them that I enjoyed, but most seem to call them pretentious, so maybe they go too far in the other direction for most people to enjoy. Again, thanks for the content you make, from Evan. Thank you for writing, Evan, and my pleasure to be able to help you out on those anxiety issues. And yeah, social media. I don't have Twitter, but having as you said, I would say I'm addicted to the internet as a whole, but I would not necessarily say I'm addicted to social media either. And I do agree with you with what you say on the topic of the horror films. Another sip of Monster. And allow me to address the fact, yes, this microphone does pick up whenever my breath is near the microphone itself. So sometimes if I talk, it'll sound like this. And perhaps maybe it came out that way, maybe it didn't, but you'll hear it sounds like, you'll hear that little rumble of the air. I'm sorry, it's not a good microphone. And it's just what we got. Hi, I was just introduced to you via BK Mac and Cheetos review. I then fell down the rabbit hole, and that is your Report of the Week channel. It is nice to see how you have grown as far as describing/critiquing. I find you to be quite unique and interesting to listen to. I was also wondering if you'd be open to beer reviews. Going by the comments on an early video you made, I am at least 21 years old, 23. With craft brewing being a large and rapidly growing industry, I would think you would expose your channel to a new audience that is broad and diverse. As a beer nerd myself, I may be a bit biased, but I think beer is a beverage that has the most complex flavors and textures, far more interesting than wine or whiskey or scotch, which I also enjoy, but at a much more moderated level. If you do not enjoy beer, I don't think you would be happy trying beers that you do not think taste good. I could recommend you some beers that you may not have known, any beer could taste like. There are beers that taste mouth-wateringly, face-puckeringly sour, to beers that are sherbet sweet, to tongue-cringingly bitter, and everything in between. Thank you for reading my message. Hope you seriously consider the idea. And if you do, please let me know your thoughts in any way I could help or answer any questions about beer. From Brad. Well, thank you for writing, Brad. Brad wrote in about beer. I could drink, but I'm just not a fan of drinking. And that's just my own personal decision. No other obligations there. But it's something that some people have recommended me before. But as I said, I can drink. I just choose not to drink. And that's just my decision there. It's just what I choose to do, and that's all there is to it. Hello, Review Brother. Sorry, no questions this time around, but I've just been thinking lately. Hope it's something you don't take offense to. I was just thinking of all the similarities between you and Donald J. Trump. No, really, hear me out. Hear all the striking similarities. Your name is John. Donald Trump's middle name is John. You both dress well, almost always wearing suits. You both have a unique and signature hairstyle. You both have blue-green eyes. You both are from New York and have somewhat of a New York accent. You both have unusual sleep schedules. You're both referred to by some fans as Daddy. You both are a star of your own show that you produce. You both are great public speakers and have a similar speaking style. Specifically, you're somewhat digressionary and rambling styles. Donald J. Trump wants to make America great again, and you want to make radio and suits great again. And you have both more or less achieved meme status and general internet fame. Well, what are your thoughts? Are you actually a long-lost son, grandson, or other relative of Donald Trump? You never know. Well, that's interesting how many comparisons there are in that regard. Something I never thought of. I never actually thought of all the similarities, I think that's interesting, though. I think it is. I mean, I will admit, in terms of Trump, not on a political level, but in terms of fashion, I do like his suits. He has nice suits, and his shirts, his dress shirts with the cufflinks, are nice, but those were all made before he actually declared his run for presidency. One of the shirts I got in a Goodwill, it's from the 90s, and then another shirt is from around 2009 or so. But, well, those are some interesting similarities. As you know, I don't get political on this program, but I think that's very interesting, and thank you for writing. Hey, Review Bra, loving all your content. Keep it up, my friend. To answer your question this week, I personally do not consider myself addicted to social media, because I rarely use what social media I have. My question for you is, if you are stranded on an island with one other person as your survival partner, who do you choose? Once again, I love all the work that you are doing, but I would love it if you could do more VORWs, as they give hours of high quality content. Hope to write in every week. Sincerely, from Jay. Well, thank you for writing, Jay. I would choose a family member. I really would. I know some people give an answer, so yeah, I choose a celebrity because she's hot, blah blah blah, do this and do that, and they'd say that, or no, I just choose a family member, someone close to me, someone who I can get along with, and I think that's a good answer. I think it's an uncommon answer, but I think it's a good answer. Hey, Daddy, could you please review Rockstar Green Apple? It's one of my favorite rock stars, and you look cuter with your hair down. And that was from Nick. Thank you for writing, Nick. Rockstar Green Apple. Rockstar Green Apple. Let's see what we got. If I find it, I'll review it. There's a lot of rock stars out there. As I said, if I find it, I'll review it. That's my policy. If I find it, I shall review it. Hey, Review Bro, I'm a new viewer. I found your channel off of Reddit. I just wanted to write to you and say that I, just like so many others, have been deeply affected by your channel. Your channel is utterly amazing. My life has been cripplingly lonely, and I'm in a spot that I'd rather not be in. I have depression and believe I don't have a reason to live, but I also decided that I don't have a reason to die. Your videos, especially VORW, are some of the best parts of my life. As for the question, I, like you, do not use social media at all. Find it rather stupid, and my life is pretty boring anyway, so I never knew why I'd even put on social media. If you take the time to read this, thank you very much. Sincerely, Matthew. Thank you for writing, Matthew. And yeah, I mean, another thing with social media is all your privacy goes out the door. I mean, it does. I don't know who's out to get me. I think a lot of people are. You know, I think nearly everyone is, but you know, with that information, everyone just puts everything out on social media. They act like, hey, you know, it's fine, you know, it's nothing's gonna happen, but I mean, it's just I believe in privacy. I believe in something, you know, something known as privacy. I don't want to share my whole life. I mean, I share what I want to share on YouTube in terms of reviews and VORWs, but there's a lot of things I keep to myself, and I'd rather not share them. I'd rather keep it behind, you know, closed doors and keep it personal. And that's fine. I think everyone deserves that right, but a lot of people just don't do that. Puzzles me as to why, but you know, it's what people do. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, and it's my pleasure that this program, that you get something out of this program, so thank you. I had the report of the week thanks to you and your show. I have recently gotten an interest in shortwave radio, and I was wondering, do you know of a decent, inexpensive shortwave radio that's easy to use for people who are just starting to get into it? Thank you for your show and what you do. I always enjoy it. I recommend the Texan PL660 receiver. I mean, you can get it now probably between $75 and $100. But you know, you save that paycheck, save the check from the state, whatever you save your Patreon money, whatever you do to get money, and you know, and just save it up, get it. It's a great receiver, very sensitive, picks up a ton of stations, and with that being said, it'll work out just fine, just fine. There's a little instruction manual too. You can read it. It'll help you out majorly, and again, as I said, it'll work out fine. Great receiver, and I have nothing but good things to say about it. So thank you, Andrew. Thank you for writing. Hey, review brah, any advice on getting a three-piece suit for cheap, like at the thrift store or something like that? Awesome shows, by the way. So thank you for writing, and yeah, go to a Goodwill. There's a suit rack there, and just start going through them. You're gonna find reputable brands. You just go there, look at the styles that you want, check the lapel width, see if you want pleats or not, see if you want one of those silly looking 70s three-piece suits, if you want a more contemporary or formal one, or a more traditional one, and start shuffling through the suit rack, find what you want. You get the suit, you try it on, see if you like it, and you know, blow $10 and you have a suit that no one will be able to tell that you blew $10 for. It's very easy. Just take your time, because you never know what you're gonna find. Look at all the jackets, look at the sizes, and check the pockets too. You might find some cash in there that you can make a little extra for. And you never know. On to the next. You and Joey's World Tour should do a collab, from Nick. Well, Nick, I'm not one to collaborate with anyone. Joey's World Tour or any YouTuber. I've received some, you know, some offers to collaborate before, but I've just never been a fan of doing that. On to the next. I love your videos, and it'd be awesome to see you do a review of some of McDonald's secret menu items. The land, air, and sea burger seems interesting. Thanks for making food reviews more awesome. Cheers. Well, thank you for writing. And you know, the thing about secret menus, secret items, it's just the fact that Seems like your average McDonald's would be oblivious to it. Like, there might be one in LA and New York City that knows about the secret menu and all that. But I just think if you went to your average McDonald's in, middle of nowhere, Kansas, and, go there and ask for the Land, Air, and Sea burger, they just look at you funny and they just say, "What are you talking about? Don't have that on the menu." And I'd sit there looking like an idiot. On to the next. Hello, Review Bra. Thank you so much for reading my letter and giving me a shout out. Believe it or not, I was actually in the bathroom listening to VORW episode 125 on my phone. Don't worry, nothing unmentionable was occurring. I was just shaving. To answer your question, are you addicted to social media? In short, I would say yes. I use Facebook all the time, but I am transitioning away from it. These questions are random ones I thought up during the day, so they may or may not be related. Number 1. Do you think it would be a good idea for Monster to release a not as caffeinated drink with the original Monster flavor? Maybe as a Monster soda, because I'm not much of a caffeine drinker, but I don't think it would be the best idea because I don't think there would be a market for it. What do you think? Believe it or not, though it's still used to try to give you a boost, Monster released what they call Monster Unleaded. And what Monster Unleaded is a Monster energy drink which is caffeine free. It is caffeine free in nature, but it's supposed to have other things like guarana, taurine, sugar, etc., which are still there to make you, get that boost, get that kick out of it, and keep you energized and alert. Now that said, that doesn't really count as a Monster soda, but I think as a test, I think they could release it and see what it is and how it tastes. And you never know. It could be good, it could be bad, but who's to say? I think it'd be an interesting test, though, to see how many people like it. Speaking of, that has prompted me to take another sip of my Monster. If there was an anime around someone who eats pizza and drinks energy drinks and partakes in shortwave listening and wore formal clothing, would you watch it? Out of curiosity, I would. Watch the first episode and see what happens, see how it is, and then I'll take it from there. You do talk about music a lot, which I enjoy, but I do not believe you ever talked about your favorite artist or album. I'm sorry if you ever mentioned it before, I'm just curious. Well, my favorite artists, I don't have a full-blown favorite artist, but I do enjoy, some of the 90s groups, especially Oasis and Third Eye Blind. They're great. I really enjoy them, and I listen to them frequently. Maybe they're my favorites, maybe not, but I definitely enjoy those two groups. I don't have a favorite album, but I enjoy just a lot of those real great, legendary 90s groups, early 2000s groups, all of them. What is your favorite frozen pizza brand? Mine is Red Baron. Mine might be Red Baron too. Red Baron's a great brand. I like their rising crust pizza the best. Freshetta's nice too, though. Freshetta's nice, but probably Red Baron's my favorite too. If you were given a lifetime supply of free pizza or free energy drinks, what would you pick? Well, if the pizza was fresh, like if I could just go to, Domino's or Pizza Hut or the supermarket and get any pizza, as long as it's a pizza, totally free. It's the pizza, definitely. Save me money, tastes better, and you get more out of it, rather than the free energy drinks. If it was nondescript pizza and it could be awful, then I'd go for the energy drinks for a safe bet. If you were forced to review something in either a classic style SS Nazi uniform or a hipster tight-fit pastel-colored suit, which would you pick? Remind that this is just for one review and it is not permanent. Well, I'll explain. first and foremost, I do think that the SS uniform is more formal and more aesthetically pleasing, but everything that's associated with it and the connotations that they have, of course, I think the repercussions would be far, far, far more greater should I wore that for a review rather than the hipster tight-fit pastel-colored suit. I mean, if I wore the Nazi uniform, I would be, forget it. It'd be horrible. People would be saying, what's wrong with you? You're a Nazi, blah, 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 And I can kiss everything I've ever worked for with this channel, the reputation, all that, goodbye. If I wore the hipster tight-fit pastel-colored suit, people would say, what's wrong with you? But they can kind of take it as a joke. So, difficult decisions. But, of course, I'd have to go with the hipster tight-fit suit for the aforementioned reasons. If you're ever a fan of Hugo Boss, actually, Hugo Boss, the clothing line, they actually designed a lot of the Nazi uniforms, believe it or not. They did. Mr. Hugo Boss, he died in 1948. But the SS uniform was designed by Hugo Boss, believe it or not. I actually have a black suit from Hugo Boss, but it's not, from the original. It's a 90s suit, not from the 40s or what have you. But Hugo Boss, they really like to forget about those days, of course. That want to be associated as the company that made the Nazi uniforms, rather they want to be, the company that makes the suits and what have you. Thanks for answering these questions, your longtime listener and loyal fan, Christian. Thank you for writing, Christian. Titled Fan Mail. Hello, Review Bro. This is my first time writing fan mail to you, so I feel compelled to briefly express my appreciation for what you do on your channel. The reviews are rather thoughtful and entertaining, and generally your content is very nice. In response to your last VORW's question, I do not believe that I am addicted to social media by any stretch. While I have accounts on many social media platforms like Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, etc., I use them very rarely. The practice of regularly posting public statuses updates, like most social media users do, sharing events and feelings of those that follow you, seems incredibly narcissistic to me. Unless people make it explicitly clear that they are interested in my life, there is no reason, in my opinion, for me to burden others with such stupid, mundane information. I have a couple of pretty simple questions for you. Well, that place is, that place is what it is. And I'm not going to answer that. Thank you for writing, though. Hello, the Report of the Week. It's me again. That's Christian, who wrote the last with all the questions that I answered. He writes again. He says, I just wanted to tell you that I officially graduated high school a month late. Why was I late to graduation, might you ask? Even if you don't care to ask, I'm going to tell you, my friend. I had to go to summer school because when I was a freshman and sophomore, I was a degenerate who did not take school seriously. Please have mercy on me, Review Bra. To make up all the credits, I had to take 3 sessions of summer school and 4 sessions of night school, plus a full schedule for my senior year, so you can say I was a busy bee. But enough about me. I want to ask you about how your high school experience was like. Were you a smart guy who was caught up on all his credits, or were you a lazy kid like me? And also, what was your best and worst subject in school? Plus, how was your graduation ceremony, and do you miss it? Thank you for answering more of my questions, and I want you to have a wonderful day. Your loyal fan, Christian S. Thank you for writing, Christian. And high school was, people always get nostalgic about high school. They say, well, man, I wish I could go back to high school. I say I'm glad I'm out of that hellhole. There was a time in my life that I'm glad is over, and there was a place I didn't fit in. I didn't feel like I necessarily belonged there. I just did my work, completed my work, and got it done with. And then, it was that. No clubs, nothing like that. I just left every day. So, I considered it like a job I hated. I had to do it. I had to get it over with, and that was that. No friends, nothing. But I just got it over. Now, that being said, my favorite subject was history. I just enjoyed learning about the past, learning about history, learning about different eras, and what have you. And I really enjoyed learning about history. That I did. My worst subject was foreign language, Spanish. I took 5 years worth of Spanish, and in the end, my 5th year of it, I graduated that class with a 67. 65 is passing, 67 is, is barely passing. I couldn't learn another language. It's just part of my brain. It just couldn't comprehend it. So that was that, but, that was my worst subject. On to the next. Let me just do a quick check to see how many we got. 1, 2. Okay. Dear John, thank you for the excellent program. I really love the VORW shows. They are fun to listen to. Please don't beat yourself down over petty comments about your fingernails. I like them, by the way. You have elegant hands and longer fingernails suits them. Or general hate mail. You bring so many people joy through your videos. Like people before me told you. You help them find sleep, calm them down, get them through hard times, give them advice about life, and not forget to entertain us with fast food and drink reviews. Your unique style and persona, and the positive feedback of the ReviewBra community, gives myself hope that being true to oneself isn't always ridiculed, that everyone can find a place of comfort and success. Since I too have depression, this helps me keep my spirit up, so thank you again for being you. As for your question, if Reddit counts as social media, then I would say I'm kind of addicted. I don't have a smartphone, but since I got a tablet for my birthday, I'm daily on Reddit and YouTube. Although I have accounts on Facebook and Twitter, I don't use them, because I don't like talking to people, even online. And apart from that, I like looking at pretty pictures, so I have an Instagram, Pinterest, and Tumblr. They're mostly for looking, I don't participate much. All in all, it's not addiction, more habituation. My question for you is, did you learn a second language in school, or try to learn one on your own? If not, which one would you like to speak? All the best in regards from Germany. P.S. Since English is my second language, I hope my letter was understandable. And it certainly was very nicely written. And the question I just answered before kind of covers that too. Yeah, it was Spanish, and it didn't work out well at all. I can listen to Spanish broadcasts on shortwave and still not understand the word they said. I mean, I can pick up a word here and there, but, I can't say, I know exactly what they're talking about there. In terms of other languages, I like German, believe it or not, Russian, and even some of the Asian languages, Chinese, Japanese, Korean, I all like, but I'm never going to learn them. Number one, I have neither the mental capacity, nor I just don't think I have the time to dedicate to that. Thank you for writing, though. VORW number 125, fan mail. Dear ReviewBra, I finished listening to your latest VORW show yesterday, and I especially enjoyed the story about your horrible summer experience as a kid. I also have come to hate the beach as an adult. I burn too easily and cannot stand the annoying pop music they play at bars. Ever notice how people are so modest about their bodies? However, as soon as they go abroad, they walk shamelessly on the beach and browse the shops in basically waterproof underwear. Can you imagine if people did that at home as well? People people walking down the soup aisle in nothing but their tidy whities. Seems insane that as long as it's summer and you're on holiday, it's fine. Apparently, yeah, it is very hypocritical. Um, when I took a trip to Hawaii in 2014, you better believe I saw that constantly. I was the only person there still wearing dress pants, dress shoes, a shirt and tie in Honolulu. And that was it. Actually, there were a few well-dressed Japanese tourists there too, but we were a minority. Well-dressed people. But no, it's true. I mean, bathing suits, they really are waterproof undergarments. In many cases, they look no different. Except they're more colorful and meant to be, exposed in the public eye. But, it is funny how people say, oh, I wouldn't dare, go to the store in my underwear, yet when you're on holiday or vacation and you choose to go shopping whilst wearing swimwear, it's totally fine, even though it's the same equivalent. It is an interesting observation. I've thought that myself before. In regards to this week's question on social media addiction, my answer is no. When it comes to social media, I have a YouTube account, but I don't create videos. And actually, I'm not sure if YouTube is social media anymore. Just a bunch of angry people spending hours of their short lives complaining about other people's fingernails. I have a Twitter account, which I only use to stay updated on my favorite content creators or nature news programs. Basically, it's my life and no one else's. It's mine to enjoy, and I don't need permission or validation from anyone to do what I love. Some others do. I imagine it's them who need and get addicted to it. So, no, I don't think I have a social media addiction. I do, however, have an internet addiction, but that's a question for another time. Thank you very much for answering my question in the previous show. I have another thing for you this week. My question is, what is the silliest thing you ever thought of when you were a kid? I used to think my English teacher was secretly Santa Claus. One year I left a Christmas list on his desk for our vacation. Oh well, I need to get back to my cooking. Best of wishes and have a great week. Well, thank you very much for writing. And the silliest thing I ever thought of when I was but a child. Let's see now. Well, I mean, I used to, when I was real young, I used to think I believe, I'm trying to just recall this one. I believe that I used to think that the moon, of all things, was a sentient being. I used to think that the moon was alive and was out to get me, and it was funny. But that's what I always used to think. That the moon was a sentient being. Not like any man on the moon. I used to think like it was an actual creature up there. What is the best flavor of Pop-Tarts? Difficult to say, but I recommend standard strawberry. Standard strawberry Pop-Tarts. Thank you for writing. Let's move on to the next, ladies and gentlemen. Hello, Review Bra. I'm a fairly new subscriber, but I wanted to respond to your latest VORW question. Am I addicted to social media? Definitely not, because I do not have any social media accounts. I understand why some people like it, but it's just not my cup of tea. Beyond not getting much out of it, I avoid social media because I'd hate for a future employer to Google my name and stumble upon some dumb post that's years old and get a bad impression of me. Now I have a question for you regarding fashion. What is your opinion on trench coats / overcoats? I own both a black coat and a beige coat, and that was once owned by my stylish grandfather. And I like them because they're comfortable and warm, but I understand there's a bit of a social stigma against them. If you do approve, what kind of outfits do you think look best with an overcoat? And if you do not, why not? I'm interested to hear your opinion. Keep up the good work, Review Bra. I very much enjoy your content. Well, thank you for writing. And I like overcoats very much. I own a black overcoat, and I also own a standard tan, very long raincoat. I think the best thing to wear with them is a suit. Those formal men's coats like that, like an overcoat and a trench coat and a raincoat, I think the thing that looks best of them is a suit. That's what they're really made to be worn with, and that's what I think looks best of them, at least. A full suit, or a shirt and tie, or even just a dress shirt and dress pants. I think that's what looks best with them, honestly. But I support them. I enjoy wearing them, and that's what I got. Thank you for writing. Hello, Review Bra. I'm not sure if this is the place to message you about your VORWs or not. It is. You're in the right place. I've listened to only a couple of VORWs, but I do plan on listening to a lot more in the background while working. In fact, I'm listening to one right now. I love listening to you talk about things because you have a great thought process, and that's cool. Hard to find good, clean content on YouTube, especially when it comes to food reviews. Your food reviews are very different from the rest, and this is what I like. Keep it up, keep going at it, and I hope you have a 9 out of 10 day from Sid. Thank you for writing, Sid, and thank you for your lovely comments. Hello, I've been following you for a while now. I was wondering if you'd ever tasted the IKEA pizza. If you have not, could you possibly do a review of it? I know it's a little irregular for you to review food that's not from a fast food place, but it'd be very interesting to have your opinion on it. Thanks. Isn't that the place where you get the furniture from? Isn't that what it is? Is that the same place? IKEA? Isn't IKEA though? Isn't that where you just get the furniture from? Well, who's to say? Maybe it'll be good. Who knows? No assembly required, I hope. Well, if I can get it, I might review it. Hello, my name is Miles. I really enjoyed listening to VORW shows. They are great to listen to while I'm at the gym or jogging, believe it or not. I came upon your channel through a cringy food reviewer compilation. I thought you were more interesting instead of cringy, and somehow I just got sucked into your videos. Keep doing what you do, Review Bra. Well, thank you for writing, my friend, and I shall keep doing what I do. Hi, Review Bra. Am I addicted to social media? Yes, and I'm okay with that. We live in unprecedented times, and I've been involved with social media since the renegade BBS days, before social media even had a name. In a way, the web and internet, as we know, has always been social media. It's been a way for everyday people to publish themselves. Am I addicted to my smartphone? Yes. It's changed my life. It has made me use the computer less, which is good for my body, mind, and proverbial soul. I use Twitter mainly to consume news, links, and laughs. The good thing about Twitter isn't the tweeting, it's the reading. It's not reading, it's the reading, not the tweeting. You could be anonymous and simply curate your own front page news. In the past 10 years, give or take, I've completely taken myself out of reading newspapers, stopped watching TV news, and quit terrestrial radio, with a few exceptions like KALX, sometimes pronounced CalX, FM, which is the UC Berkeley's radio station, 90.7 on the dial. An overall format, just lots of music, many DJs. A pivotal incident that converted me into a smartphone Twitter person happened when I was on a business trip/vacation in Los Angeles in April of 2013. While I was at Knott's Berry Farm, I received a text from a friend breaking news that the Boston Marathon had been attacked by terrorists. Over the next 3 days, I was doing some blogging work in Burbank, while shopping for videotapes at Amoeba Records, and while lounging in an Airbnb. I was glued to my Twitter feed, and I started following journalists then, from all different forms of media. Lots of insight there. I remember where I was when I caught up with the news that the suspects got in a gunfight with the cops. One died and the other wounded and arrested dramatically out of a motorboat with his last words, and his own damn blood, smeared onto the hull. Everything changed after then, but to each his own. Ain't that right, Review Bra? Yes, it is. I can see, how it can be used. I mean, I just am not a fan of it, but I can see how you get, stuff out of it. My question for you this week: how did you get into 90s alternative rock? Did someone introduce it to you? Was there an FM station you listened to growing up? MTV? Ever go to a punk or indie show? I could see a teenage you in a community center looking like $1,000,000 and everyone standing eye level with the band. Yep, everyone being so angsty. I made a playlist to check out at your leisure. No disrespect to the copyright holders. It's music from late 70s to present. Well, thank you very much. Peace out, Review Bra. Signed Andy in Berkeley. Thank you for writing, Andy. And I found out about 90s alternative from an FM station. And everyone hated this station, but I was a fan of it. It was called Jack FM. They played a variety of music with no DJ from the 60s to the 90s. And out of all that they played, I always enjoyed the 90s music that they played. And it was the music I knew least about at the time. So I began researching it and looking it up, listening more and more, delving deeper in. And eventually I found what I liked. I knew I liked this type of music. And I just delved in head first from that. And thank you very much for the playlist there. Our last letter in the YouTube inbox. Hello, John. This is just a note to express my sincere appreciation of the channel. The last few months have been difficult because of a terminal illness of a loved one, and your content has done much to lighten a rather dark place, and I thank you. My dad passed recently, and it was from him I learned to love poetry, so when I asked you to read If, it meant so much. It was as much for him as me. Again, I thank you. This is a short one, that's fine. I know I'm being rather greedy, but could you possibly read one of his favorite poems, if there's time? I realize you might not be able to, but it would be so nice if you could. With heartfelt thanks from Jackie. Sure thing. Alright. It's titled You and Me by Robert Service. I'm part of people I have known, and they are a part of me. The seeds of thought that I have sown in other minds I see. There's something of me in the throne and in the gallows tree. There's something of me in each one with whom I work and play. For islanded there can be none in this dynamic day. And mesh with me, perchance may be, a leper in Cathay. There's me and you and me, for deeply in us delves such common thought, that never we can call ourselves ourselves. In coils of universal fate, no man is isolate, for you and I are history, that all that ever was are woven in the tapestry of everlasting laws. Persist we will in time to be forever you and me. That's from Robert Service. Well, thank you for that. And that concludes this fan mail reading for the YouTube inbox. Let's make sure we got everything. Yes, we did. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, we got everything there for the YouTube inbox. And now let's just check out what we have in the email, repweekinterview1@gmail.com. Dear John, we're truly in the thick of winter right now. It is currently below 10 degrees Celsius, and I must admit, I'm not ready for the sudden drop in temperature. I braved the cold night donning a scarf for the first time this year, and went out for burgers. It was interesting seeing how the nightclubs are still full of people, considering the weather. Hope you're faring up okay in the northern hemisphere. Heard that the Arizona heat wave came by again this year, and sometimes like those I would gladly take this cold weather over the heat any day. With regards to this week's question, I could not say that I have an addiction to social media as such. Over the past 2 years, I've distanced myself from the popular channels of the internet, browsing, though I have not cut down the amount of time I spend on a computer per day. If anything, I have increased interest in a lot more niche websites these days. I don't think that's a bad thing. Would I call this an addiction? Yeah, I probably would. I can't help but ease into my day by starting out with checking on world news and other happenings online. It's just a matter that I've become all too used to. My question for you this week is, what's your opinion on scarves? Would you wear a scarf? What sort of fabric would you prefer on your scarf? As always, thanks for the hard work. Regards, Liam. Thank you for writing, Liam. My views on scarves. I like scarves. I do, and I wear them. I'll kind of drape it around my neck with a suit or an overcoat. And I like a warm cashmere blend on scarves. That's what I like the best. Silk is just. I like to wear a scarf practically, to keep me warm. And that being said, it I always prefer the like a cashmere blend that's comfortable on the skin, but very warm too. On to the next. Let's see. Here we go. How's it going, Review Bra? To answer the previous VORW's question, I am not addicted to social media. I don't have any social media accounts. I'm quite cynical about social media. I did participate in social media for a time. About 2 summers ago, I was talked into making Facebook by a family member. My time on Facebook lasted about 2 months due to a number of reasons. I just got tired of it and went off the grid again. People give me funny looks when I tell them I don't participate in social media. I attached an image from a scary picture thread on X, the paranormal board of 4chan. I feel it is relevant to the question and state of technology, and I'd like to get your thoughts on it. Also, have you ever heard of Drake's Cakes products? If possible, I'd like to see you do a review of them. Take care, from EV. Thank you for writing. And yeah, that is that shows us the complete thoughtless immersion into all of that. I'm not a fan of it, should I say myself. And that's going to be the world one day, unfortunately. You're looking into the future when you see this picture here. That is the future right there. It's going to be... Everyone's delved into that, blinding themselves from reality. And that's going to be life. It's a real shame to say, but that's how it is, and... Scary. Nothing can be done about it, but... When that becomes big, when virtual reality becomes big... Can't say I'm going to be one to participate in it at all. Same thing of smartphones. Smartphones became big, and I never participated in that. I'm going to go as long as I possibly can without doing that. Alright, let's see what we got going next. VORW fan mail. Dear John, to answer your question, I do not consider myself to be wholly addicted to social media. I have only one person who I regularly speak to on Facebook, as he's the only person I'm close to, although I suppose I do enjoy snooping on other people on occasion. However, I would say I have a mild internet addiction. My phone notifies me the instant my favorite YouTubers upload a video, so I find myself watching videos for vast swaths of time throughout my day. If anything, I'm more socially active in the comments section of YouTube videos than I am on social media. And now I have a question for you. In light of Brexit, what's the earliest memory you have of a major news event? For me, it was the death of the Queen Mother in the March of 2002 when I was 8 years old. I was watching television with my brother in my grandparents' house, and the program we were watching was interrupted by a news bulletin. Must have been one of those first times I'd ever been faced with considerations of my own mortality. It was oddly unsettling. I didn't want to be alone for the rest of the evening, despite me not being especially sad over the death itself. The dramatic nature of the program interruptions in any form of media, I think, always tend to heighten the sense of unease. First thing I remember, really, because before that I was just, I just, played with toys or watched children's shows, was 9/11. I remember September 11th, 2001. I remember looking at the news broadcast, seeing the towers falling, seeing the towers, in flames like that, the people running for their lives in the streets. On the news, I remember seeing all of that. So I remember 9/11. that's one of the first major events I recall, 9/11. To lead on this, a scenario: if you were alone in your house at night and heard via radio that a nuclear bomb was to hit your locality in the next half an hour, with no certainty about the bomb's potency, what would you do? Well, I'd have to hunker down. I mean, my basement is underground. Um, Theoretically, that could be used, perhaps, as a... That's the best chance I have of being safe. I'd get underground, start stocking up. Anything I could get. I mean, I imagine if I didn't die from the bomb, radiation would kill me and I'd die slowly of cancer. But, it's... who's to say? So, I'd try to stock up and then perhaps try to get on the phone with anyone I care about, and try to just wait it out and hope for the best. To conclude that, he writes, I'm always afraid that unlike the last two emails I sent you, there's no relevant image to attach. However, here's an unrelated image of my cat, Simon. He sometimes sticks his tongue out when he sleeps. Thanks from Paige. Thank you for writing, Paige. And there's Simon the cat. And thank you for your letter. On to the next. Hello, Review Bra. How's your day been? It's going alright. I've written it a few times before, but I'd still consider myself to be a silent listener, so to speak. I have a shorter letter for you today, mainly because I only have a few things to say. When you ask the question about social media addiction, I have two answers. If you count YouTube as social media, then my answer is a solid yes, as I spend copious amounts of time watching yours as well as other content creators' videos. If YouTube isn't counted, then I would say no. I have many different accounts, however. My Instagram account is used mainly to see what my friends and peers are up to. I do post on there, but they are far and few between. My Facebook is mainly for my family to see what they are up to, and Twitter is used for me to enter in CS:GO giveaways, a first-person shooter game played on PC, and YouTuber updates. I could live without all of these except for YouTube, and if you want to make comments or criticisms, feel free to do so. No, I see. No, you justified everything just fine. P.S. I know you didn't play video games anymore, but when you did you ever play any Mario or Zelda games? And if so, which were your favorite games of each title? Oh, Zelda, I played Wind Waker, I played Twilight Princess, I played Ocarina of Time, I played Majora's Mask. In Zelda, I liked them all. I liked Ocarina of Time. Every game had something different about it. I liked Ocarina of Time. I liked Majora's Mask. Majora's Mask, that was a bit creepy, though. That was a creepy game. Some of those characters, at least, were creepy looking. Twilight Princess, of course, the graphics back then were something else. And I think they were still good. And Wind Waker I liked, too. I liked sailing around the seas. Mario, I just played Super Mario Sunshine, where I cleaned up all the gook and the garbage and everything. It was a fun game, though. Good stuff. Ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to VORW, the voice of the Report of the Week. And you are listening to VORW, the voice of the Report of the Week. And again, ladies and gentlemen, I apologize for the microphone here and the low volume thereof. Though I suppose if you are trying to get to sleep, this maybe is a plus, since it's a lot less harsh than the other one. But again, I do apologize, and it's an issue on my end. It's an issue of the adapter between the microphone and the computer. The adapter's just destroyed. It's shot beyond repair, and I need to attain a new one. So some funding was put aside for it, and it's on the way. But hopefully it'll be here within a few weeks. One would hope it, at least. But I hope to have it by mid-July. We'll be back on our game. But until then, of course, we might record the next VORW by this means as well. Now, that being said, ladies and gentlemen, we have some more letters to read, of course, in the Rep Week Interview 1 email address. and several also to check out in the VORW info email address as well. Let's continue on with the letters, and here we go. Hello there. To answer the listener question, I would say that I am not addicted to social media because I do not use it at all. Unless you count YouTube as a social media, in which case I would not say I'm addicted. I would still not say I'm addicted, though it would be pretty devastating if I could no longer enjoy your content. Speaking of your channel, it was interesting to watch in the past week. It looked like that post on Deep Into YouTube got you a bunch of new viewers and subscribers. Some of the comments looked kinda dumb and ignorant, but it also looks like you got a bunch of new fans. Oh, and it was nice to see Orca Man make a return in the recent VORW. Hope to hear more from him. Have you seen Joey's World Tour's ASMR video? If you haven't seen it, it's basically a super close-up video of him eating a Popeyes, Magnolia chicken, and biscuit. You can see every little detail of the food crumbs in his teeth, and he speaks in a soft whisper, typical of ASMR videos. Now, I'm not an ASMR person by any means, but it can really be quite a spectacle to behold. I'm not trying to bash Joey or anything, but it was also a bit disgusting. You still got a laugh out of it. Anyways, it got me wondering, would you ever consider doing an ASMR type video? I know I've been asked this a few times before, but I think it could be interesting, and I think you can do it in a much more elegant and sophisticated style than Mr. World Tour. Just a thought. I certainly would not be disappointed if you decide never to do an ASMR video. And lastly, it would make my day if you could do a reading of this song on air. Thank you. Thank you. I haven't seen that ASMR video, but it sounds wonderful to just be able to see all the grime and filth from that fast food in one's teeth. Sounds beautiful. Sounds actually borderline inspirational. I'd probably just look at that and I'd just cry. I'd say that just shows you how precious life can be. Now, speaking of ASMR videos, maybe even you could count this as one, being that the microphone is so soft. Because I know it is very soft sounding. Now, nonetheless, you provided me with a lovely musical number to read, so that I will. Raindrops keep falling on my head, and just like the guy whose feet are too big for his bed, nothing seems to fit. Those raindrops are falling on my head. They keep falling. So I just did me some talking to the sun, and I said, I don't like the way he got things done. Sleeping on the job. These raindrops are falling on my head. They keep falling. But there's one thing I know. The blues they send to meet me won't defeat me. It won't be long till happiness steps up to greet me. Raindrops keep falling on my head. But that doesn't mean my eyes will soon be turning red. Crying's not for me. 'Cause I'm never gonna stop the rain by complaining. Because I'm free. Nothing's worrying me. It won't be long till happiness steps up to greet me. Raindrops keep falling on my head. But that doesn't mean my eyes will soon be turning red. Crying's not for me. 'Cause I'm never gonna stop the rain by complaining. Because I'm free. Nothing's worrying me. Thank you for that reading from a regular writer and listener. And we move on to another regular writer and listener. Dear Mr. Report of the Week, really appreciated your VORW yesterday, although I'm sorry to hear your previous day had been an unpleasant one. One would never have guessed it would be from the ease of your delivery. I did want to tell you that I listened to your shortwave broadcast as well. I didn't write a reception report since I already leave comments on YouTube. Write to you here, and I'd like to contribute some fan art. Seems a bit much to show up in your VORW info mailbox as well. Took me a while to figure out the web SDR, but after following the instructions in one of your early videos, I was finally successful. Thanks to that, It was always great to learn something new. Well, thank you for that. Great to have you listening on the short waves as well. Hope you enjoyed the program, and you could definitely see the difference between this show and the VORW shortwave broadcast. I imagine, you can see obviously how I just like to incorporate music a lot more into the VORW shortwave program, but I try to have a nice, I like using this word, a nice diapason of music and talk, and really so it'll be a nice harmonious mixture of the two. I try to balance it out well, but I always like to throw in some songs here and there. In answer to your question regarding social media addiction, I think I'm probably not. I have a Facebook account, but only have a few friends and only read updates from about half of those. I mainly use it to see pictures of family members who live in different places, different and distant places. I also have a Twitter account, but have never posted anything there. I use it to keep up on current news events and emergencies. I did contribute some photography sites a few years ago, but stopped after after being told I was too reserved and standoffish. How can one be standoffish while posting a photograph is beyond me, but apparently it can be done. I appreciate your answers last time to my questions and about dreams in prison. That's not a bad one. And about swimming. After asking the latter, I realized that ubiquitous backyard swimming pools are probably not so much of a New York thing as they are here. For me, not being able to swim was quite a social liability growing up. Yeah, it's true. Now, I know there's some places in the United States and in the world where every single house has a pool in the backyard. Everyone does. Every single house does. That's just how it is. You had the picket fence, right? You got the nice manicured lawn, and then you got the pool in the back too. That's not so much of a New York thing, probably a big California thing, but there were a few people with pools. There's this one old guy I knew who had a pool, and he would just sit there and clean the damn thing and never even swim in it. Anyway, my next question is, do you enjoy driving, and would you consider it a pleasant thing to take yourself on a solo driving trip with no particular destination in mind? Or would you prefer to travel by some other means, or not even at all? As a second part to that question, would you rather visit an urban destination or a rural one? Museums and restaurants, or flora and fauna? I would like the idea of travel much more than the actual trip itself, so keeping with the travel theme attached as another bit of fan art, I really like the suit and tie in this one. Respectfully wishing you a pleasant evening from Paula. Yes, I'm using my actual name this time on the chance of not being considered standoffish. Well, thank you for writing, and thank you for that picture. Very, very nice there. I like the train in that one. So, in terms of traveling, as nice as driving is, I would prefer to travel by another means. I would probably prefer to travel long distance via train. Because when you're driving, at least if you want to try to avoid an accident, you got to be focused. You got to concentrate on the wheel. You got to concentrate on the road, the other motorists, some idiot that's suddenly going, 35 and a 65 mile per hour speed limit area, and everything in between, some truck that didn't see you that's cutting out in front of you. You got to be on the, you got to have this all on your radar. Got to be alert. Got to make sure you're not speeding. All that good stuff. And because of that, you really can't kick back and relax. I know some people can, but I can't. I prefer to just travel via train. Trains are a very luxurious thing. I know it sounds silly, how can a train be? I'm not talking about a subway, I'm talking about a long distance train, like an Amtrak train. They're very comfortable, very smooth, very luxurious. I mean, the food on an Amtrak train, a little pricey, but you are getting your money's worth there. I mean, some of the food on the Amtrak trains is actually pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. I just like traveling by train for long distances. It's a lot nicer than driving. And, that's what I would prefer. I mean, sometimes you can't help it, you gotta drive. But if you can avoid it, I like the train the best. And an urban destination or a rural one? Yeah, I'd have to go to I'd go to a rural destination, simply because, I mean, I'm always around the urban destinations, always there, and I'd like one day to, be able to get some fresh air, some clean air, just see the country. I think it'd be fun, you know? Let's take a sip of Monster here, and then we'll move on to the next. Alright, ladies and gentlemen. Let's carry on. Let's see. I don't think I read this one, so we'll go for here. Hello, Review Bro. I forgot to write in last week, so here I am making up for it. I thought the question you asked in the last VORW was very intriguing. I'm not addicted to social media, although I have had interaction with it in the past. My experience has mostly been a negative one, but also somewhat eye-opening. Back in 2011, I was hassled by a friend to create a Facebook account. Now, I never liked Facebook or the social media in general, but after some convincing, I decided I may as well check it out and see what all the fuss is all about. I registered an account and remained somewhat active for many years, checking out the games, chatting to my friends, and seeing whatever crap people posted. I was never extremely active, however, as I was more interested in my other hobbies when I got on my PC, namely video games, although Facebook to me was useful for contacting friends and relatives. That was about it. The other stuff I saw there was mostly drama between people, classmates, and an endless slew of photos and status updates, which meant very little to me, as I was somewhat an antisocial person during the time. And I suppose, to an extent, I still am. I was never interested enough to be addicted and deleted my Facebook account a long time ago, due to how little use it was to me. However, I could see why someone may be addicted to social media if they were, for lack of a better term, quote-unquote normies, or were very interested in the lives of others, generally speaking. I feel the social media has a negative effect on society as a whole, but I think I explained my view in that last email pretty well. On the topic, thank you for reading out my last emails. I was actually quite nervous because I normally don't publicly express my views on a topic like that, but I'm glad you agreed with me on this. Now I have two questions for you. Are there any fast food restaurants you strongly dislike or avoid, and if so, why? Well, to name one right now, I will. Sparrow. I mean, it is fast food. It's pizza. They have it sitting out. They put it in the oven for 2 minutes, and then it's good to go. It's fast food. Sparrow. Now, sometimes their garlic breadsticks are good. Sometimes their pizza can be okay. But when you're paying $7 for a slice, and when you're paying even more for one of the worst slices I've ever eaten in my life, I strongly dislike a place like that. Because you're getting average to mediocre food at Five Guys prices. That's not good. That's not a good thing. Are you a very nostalgic person, and what are your feelings around nostalgia? Does it have much of an impact on your life in general? Live long and prosper, keep up the good work. Yeah, I am a nostalgic person. I really reminisce over the past, and I share a real contempt and dislike for this world today. I mean, I am living in the past, really. I dress from a different era. I use outdated technology. My hobbies are not popular today. The way I speak isn't really that common. I don't have any social media, no smartphones. So it really is. I mean, I am really, to an extent, living in the past. But I can't help it. It's just the life I'm comfortable living, and I'm going to live this life for as long as I possibly can. It gives me happiness and comfort, and I'm not going to stop that. I found my little niche. As long as I can keep that niche, I'm going to, keep doing what I'm doing. But it does have an impact. I oftentimes reminisce about the past and think about it and get nostalgic over how things were and how they aren't anymore. I used to give really long lectures about it, but, some people got sick of them. So that's all I would talk about. I'll throw in one or two every now and then because it's something I still think about, but, it's how it is. This person also mentions, by the way, my girlfriend Melissa is a big fan, and she would love a shout out from you if you wouldn't mind. Sure thing. Melissa, you have a very formal and official Report of the Week shout out. Thank you for writing. You have been shouted out. 4 more letters left here. Then we'll move to VORW info, where we have an additional 4. So 8 in total. Hello, Review Bra. To answer the questions you asked, no, I do not think I'm addicted to social media. Yes, I check/use them every day, but I don't think I'm addicted because I don't need to use them. I only use them when I'm bored, pretty much, and besides that, I wanted to let you know that your channel is incredibly unique. I used to watch back in the 2013-2014 days, but forgot about you until your appearance on Tosh.0, and I've been watching since. Your content never ceases to amaze me, and VORWs are always entertaining. In fact, my heart skips a beat when I see a new VORW in my sub feed, and I'd like to ask you a question if you wouldn't mind. Would you ever consider moving out to California and living in my city, Compton? There are lots of In-N-Outs and Five Guys, and you'd enjoy that very much. Yeah. On to the next. And absolutely not, with scum like you there. It was a troll. And that's who I'm referring to. Had some racist comments at the bottom of that. Degeneracy, it tries to make its way into everything, my shows included, but I try to read a little bit ahead as I read these letters, and sometimes you get, trash like that permeates in, but absolutely not. No, I wouldn't. And perhaps one day you'll learn to be a little more mature. Hey there, Report of the Week. This is my 3rd time writing into the show. The listener question was, do you think you are addicted to social media? My answer is no. I have Facebook and Twitter and keep up a social media presence for my writing career, but I rarely log into either. I do find myself obsessed with Reddit, though. I do count this as social media. And I was wondering if we could hear about ideas that you have had for your shows that you ended up not using. I'd love to get some insight into behind the scenes, the planning, and so forth. Keep up the wonderful work. Your show gets better every time. Kind regards, Adam from London. Thank you for writing, Adam. I don't really consider Reddit to be like social media. I consider it to be more along the lines of a forum type thing. Not necessarily saying, yeah, here's, enjoy my vacation pics, like, yeah, we definitely want to see you, sitting there. I don't know how many people are actually interested in another person's vacation photos. I've never considered myself to be that type. Any ideas for shows I ended up not using? Well, there's a few that I've had since 2012 that I still might use, but there was a show. I'll tell you a little story. Back in 2011, I had an idea for like a pre-Idle Mind show, where I would kind of sit on the Idle Mind couch. You know what I'm talking about. And I'd just kind of give a little monologue and talk about different topics that I didn't talk about before. That show was ahead of its time, I'll tell you that. 5 years ago, I was giving a little 2011 lecture on different things like cars and e-cigarettes and whatnot. It was a very interesting little, I guess, defined as a light entertainment program. But it was, it just never got anywhere. I just didn't have the time to do it. So I only made 1 or 2 episodes of it. I think the second one got deleted, but I still have the first one on my other computer. And maybe I'll upload it one day. It's like a precursor to the Idle Mind. It's like the Idle Mind pilot episode that never got released. So maybe one day I'll upload it, with a little intro, and I don't know, you can get some, expletives and giggles out of it. Who's to say? On to the next. Good afternoon, Review Bra. My name is Jose, and I'm writing to you from the other side of the border in one of Mexico's largest cities, Monterrey. Monterrey, I've heard of that. I discovered your channel around February thanks to 4chan. I believe I was browsing Fit when I came across one of your food reviews. I honestly didn't think much about it and just carried on with my life and thought, welp, just another food reviewer, plenty of those these days. However, next month a Wendy's opened up for the first time in my city, and I found myself browsing YouTube for food reviews, since it's about a 30-minute drive away and I just wanted to make sure it was worth it. I came across the usuals, Damn Drops, Ken Dummy, Joey's, and finally you. What's this, a man in a suit reviewing fast food? I remember this guy. It was your jalapeno fresco review, if I recall correctly. After that, I started to binge watch your food reviews for a few weeks, until I realized you also had a podcast called VORW. And 2 months later, I'm actually watching your newest ones. Here I am, I'm watching your newest ones first. And currently, I'm on 96. I've got 95 more to go. And now, to answer your question about social media, I don't consider myself addicted. However, I truly believe that my social life would be very different if I didn't have any social media. But let me explain why first. To me, social media is just a platform where I can message my friends and relatives, or at least it used to be. Back in the days where only social media people used Facebook. Now everybody wants a piece of the cake, and social media is pretty much everywhere. Instagram, Snapchat, Tinder, etc. I only use Facebook, and I honestly don't think I can somehow get addicted to it, seeing that I only use it to message friends and family. Thanks in advance if you ever read this. Peace, Review Bra. And peace to you as well, my friend. Thank you for writing, and thank you for tuning in to VORW. Great to have a first-time writer. And feel free to write again. You're always welcome. And finally, our last one in the Rep Week Interview 1 email address. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, the question for this program is, what are your thoughts on the new Ghostbusters movie? I know it's maybe a little bit more of a controversial question than usual, but just, you know what, just let it out. If you have that pent-up rage about it, just let it out. And if you don't care, let that out too. But what are your thoughts on the new Ghostbusters movie? You going to see it? You're not going to see it? And why? I'm going to be interested to get your cinematic opinions, since I know there are a lot of moviegoers here. I'm just not going to see it because, number one, I'm just not a fan of the trailer and how they portray it. And number two, I'm just not a movie-going person. Even if I probably liked what I saw, I wasn't going to see it anyways. That's just how it is. So anyways, on to the last one from our friend Up to Louise, another regular writer. Greetings, Review Brother from another mother. I hope all is well in Review Bra Land, and pray that I'm not too late to be included in the newest VORW show, as this was a hectic week which prevented me from promptly responding to the program as the internet gods intended. No worries, you're good. Anyway, I'd like to start off by mentioning the outrage expressed by my girlfriend regarding your mac and Cheeto review, as we not received this delicacy in the Brazilian Burger King establishments, and your video left us absolutely lusting for that Burger King cheesy goodness. Were it not for your soothing voice, we would surely have gone mad. Now that that's out of the way, I'd like to answer this week's question: am I addicted to social media? If being aware of your addiction is the first step to conquering it, a true addict would know that he or she is overly dependent on social media. while I'd like to believe that I maintain healthy internet habits, I realize that I always keep a Facebook tab open on my browser and my daily visit to Twitter without any apparent reason. However, I only partake in these dreadful websites in order to maintain contact with my close friends and loved ones. I actually use Facebook for the chat feature, as I'm not a fan of Skype. Now, I'd never trade personal information for digital interaction, so I believe that I'm still on the old-fashioned non-addict side of the population. However, addiction is a very fine line, and I believe that I, and a great deal of people I know, are quite close to the edge. Now prepare for an abrupt change in subject. Remember that movie mentioned in the last broadcast, Shortwave? I actually recently reviewed that one for Bloody Disgusting, a horror journalism website for those who don't know, and thought it was an enjoyable sci-fi thriller, but that the actual shortwave aspects of it were greatly underutilized. The ideas were all there, but it lacked the mystery and insight that only a true fan of shortwave radio could use in a story like this. I'm pretty sure if this has been recommended before, but have you ever seen Banshee Chapter? It's a superior film from my point of view and deals with a similar subject matter. I think you'd enjoy it, Mr. Bra. No, I've never heard of that film, but I can definitely check it out if time allows. And I imagine a film like Shortwave, for someone who doesn't know much of it, would probably be okay, but probably some parts of the film would drive me mad. I'd like to end this message with 2 requests, if that's alright with you. First, I'd like to know if you have a favorite piece of poetry. No, I don't. In terms of poetry, normally I'm more of a reader of fiction than anything else. I'm not much of a poet reader. However, I really take what I can get, and I know some people complained about people reading poems, but if you still want to submit them, don't be shy. Alright, I enjoy reading them too, so that's fine. Just try to pick something that isn't, 20 pages long, but it can be, 2 pages long, whatever you want, and I'll read it. I think that can be very nice to read, and it's a nice little change in mood, so don't feel bad, a few impatient trolls got upset. And second, I've been working on a poem to set the mood for an animated short film project, and I would love if you could perhaps read it on the air and give me your opinion on it. I'm rather new to poetry, so I could use all the help I can get. The working title is, quote, The Eldritch Night. Booming thunder on that ill-fated ride, ominous and far away. The unseen hunter followed their cry as a message in the rain. Each drop a treacherous stab as the travelers shuddered and the horses ran. Over the hills he smelled sweet and gushing winds, sensing sweat and fiery sin. So the knight, darkly dressed in furs and skins, knew his master's eldritch whim. He rode under a wet moon, captive of an endless hunt, slave to his own doom. Yet the reluctant knight pursued his prey through lone paths and wrathful seas, nebulously dreaming of starless space, weary head afraid of sleep. Thank you very much for your time. I hope you have a great week, Mr. Bra. Sorry again for the long message. I must practice containing my ramblings until next time. Up to Louise. Well, thank you for writing Up to Louise. And thank you for that poem. I think it's a very nice one. Especially to say that you don't do that much. I think it's very nicely done, if you ask me. Perhaps there are some in a more, I think this is a made-up word, but I use it sometimes in a more criticistic tone. But I enjoyed it. I thought it was good, especially for someone who doesn't write poetry that much. I thought it was very nice to see. We now move, ladies and gentlemen, to vorwinfo@gmail.com, where there are 4 letters waiting for us. Before we partake in this letter reading session, let us have another sip of Monster. And onward we go. This person writes, I don't think I am addicted to social media, but I do believe I am addicted to Reddit, more so the news-related subreddits. I just like to know what's going on in the world. Also, if you can, I think you should do a review of the garlic bread from different pizza places. I know you did the garlic nuts, but you haven't done the actual garlic bread. Yeah, from Pizza Hut, right? They have garlic bread, and that's the one forgotten thing on their menu, really. Their garlic bread. I know they have it, but it's something I've never thought to review. You know, I mean, they got this garlic bread there, and I think to myself, yeah, garlic bread from good old Pizza Hut. You know, why get that when I can get some good, cheese sticks or etc. It'd be an interesting. I think I'll get to it one day. I think I will. Thank you for writing. Dear John, to answer the question from the last VORW, I don't feel like I'm addicted to social media. I don't go through horrible withdrawal symptoms and lay on the floor curled up in a fetal position if I don't have access to it. Actually, weeks can go by between visits to Facebook, as I feel it has nothing to offer me besides bad minion memes and pictures of sticky children. I do like to use Instagram regularly. There's always something interesting, inspiring, or beautiful to see. Thank you for that message. And so far, I think we can see there's a large consensus among this question. Few have said they are addicted. The majority of people have said that they are not addicted. Very interesting. Very interesting stuff there. Again, the question for this program is, what are your thoughts on the Ghostbusters movie, the new Ghostbusters movie coming out, if you have any, and do you intend on seeing it? So perhaps we'll find another pattern in answers going where maybe there'll be a resounding like or dislike of the film, and maybe it'll be a mixed bag. All opinions are welcome, ladies and gentlemen, and all opinions and answers are appreciated. This next writer, I haven't written in for a while, and I get kind of nervous having things I wrote being read aloud. Sorry if this is long. Here are some answers, some questions, and some miscellaneous comments. 1. My favorite carbonated beverage is the blood orange flavored San Pellegrino. I don't normally like soda, so this makes me feel a little pretentious. But I guess you can't help what you love. No, it's alright. I mean, I've had San Pellegrino before. It's years ago, but I've had it before, and it's not bad. It's, it's sparkling water type of thing. 2, the last movie I watched was The Expendables. It's like the ultimate trashy action movie. That's a good description of it. 3, my favorite program on your channel is VORW. I'm kind of sad that Energy Crisis didn't have more fans in the poll. You did. I don't really eat fast food or pizza or drink energy drinks, but I'm especially fond of Energy Crisis as far as your reviews go. 4, I do not consider myself to be addicted to social media. I don't have a Twitter or Instagram or any of those things, and though I do have a Facebook page, I rarely use it for anything other than the rare occasion that I get invited to some sort of event. I am, however, a bit addicted to several utterly mindless games I have downloaded, mostly to look busy, so that no one talks to me on the bus to work. 5, are you ever going to do a lecture about depersonalization or derealization? I'm very interested in that, since I'm someone who sometimes deals with stuff like that. That'd be a very interesting idle mind topic to do, perhaps. Sometimes I'll get bouts of it that are about a month long, and it's hell. It is. You feel like you're looking at your life through a screen, through a computer screen or a television screen, and you can control everything, but it feels like you're just watching yourself, that you're not really there. And it just, for me, it comes completely unexpectedly at random, and it leaves at random, and sometimes it'll persist for very long periods of time, and it's horrible. It's a very horrible feeling. You can't do anything to get rid of it. You're trapped. It'll just go away by itself, and it's a very scary thing. I used to have bouts of it when I was a young child, but they were only short, about 5-minute bouts. Nowadays, it can be long and tedious times. And 6, you should totally do a review of that peanut butter muscle monster. I know it's not necessarily relevant anymore, but there's something to be said for novelty reviews. Sorry for rambling, and stay golden. You are appreciated, your longtime fan, Chelsea. Well, thank you for writing, and thank you for sticking with us. I know you've wrote in since 2014, so thank you for continuing to write in and be a faithful listener. And yeah, that one peanut butter monster, I still got it sitting there, so maybe I will break it out and review it one day. Might be an interesting little... I'll mention it's a novelty review, but it might be an interesting thing to do. And our last message. You should consider live streaming on Twitch. Since I have a social eating section, you could really get a following and some support out there that they have a set section. You can stream breakfast, lunch, dinner, or what have you. If you aren't interested because there's so many stupid, annoying children there, I understand, but you can get a real following there as well. Kind regards and love from Molly. Well, thank you for writing. And yeah, I heard the news about the social eating section on Twitch. I thought it was very, very interesting, but I don't think it's something I would partake in. I'm not a fan of live streaming to begin with, nor am I that much of a fan of the Twitch community, and I just think that's that. But I think it's very interesting. It'll be interesting to see how it goes, but that's just my thoughts on the matter. And that being said, in terms of this matter, the VORW show, we are now concluding this VORW show, as all the letters have been read. Do remember, ladies and gentlemen, that the question for this program is, what are your thoughts on the new Ghostbusters movie coming out? Do you like it, do you dislike it, or do you have no opinion whatsoever? And if you even want to go further, do you plan on seeing it? Do send your answers to youtube.com/user/report of the week. Click on the About tab, send a message, and type the contents of your message and send it off there. Or if you're more of an email type of person, email us at repweekinterview1@gmail.com or email us at vorwinfo@gmail.com. Now, with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes this VORW number 126. I hope you have a wonderful week, and until next time, take care, stay safe, be good, and that is all I have. And do write, if you please. Fan art is always appreciated. Take care. You're listening to VORW, the voice of the Report of the Week. This is the voice of the Report of the Week, signing off.